There's a damn deer. Okay, back to the review. I just looked up, saw the deer off in the distance going across the top of that, top over there. I'm in central Kansas, north central Kansas today. Here with wild turkey on top of an old 48, I think it's a 48 Ford grain truck. It's one of the ones they built after the war, World War II being. Got behind me pieces of an old cock shut combine scattered. They've scavenged parts from and everything else. It's 428. They built them, I looked it up. They built them because I didn't know much about it, and I looked on the serial number on this piece that's over here behind the camera you can't see, and I got the serial number and the model number off of it. And then I looked over there and there's the model number right there. But it said made in Canada. I thought that was interesting. I'd seen them before, but I didn't know where they was made or anything else. That one particular model was made between 56 and 62, 1956, 1962. Like I said, you can see parts scattered. Got an old, and I don't think you can really see it behind the grain there. You even got an old, well, dropped my mic, it's falling off me. Hell, damn it. Put that back on. There you go. Got an old horse-drawn rake that's behind there. About half the tines, spring tines, are missing on it, but still for the most part it's intact except for the missing tines, the rotted wood and everything. But the seat, the foot lever that operates the rake itself, that's all still in place. It's still all basically there except for part of the missing tines. And even the wheels, I turned the wheels, they'll even still roll for free. I'm digressing too far. I already poured it. It's the 116 proof, 116.8 barrel proof. It's the Wild Turkey Rare Breed. I haven't never done a review on them. This is the first 116. This is the first newer batch I had. I don't like the bottle. The bottle's ugly. I like the older bottles better. Now, I've had a couple of bottles of the 112. I still got a half a bottle full of 112, the generation before this. And then even before that, I got some of the RSB versions of that, a couple bottles of that out of the early 2000s, right when they, I think it's like 2008, 2009-ish range. Excuse me. Anyway, I already got poured because we want to let it open just a little bit because it does tend to come across a little on the heated side of things. So you just let it pour about 5 minutes before you start. You know, I don't have to pour it very long. Good thick legs. I mean, this stuff is viscous as all get, viscous as you can imagine. 75% corn, 13% rye, 12% malted barley. 6, 8, and 12-year-old bourbons. It was a combination of that because it's not a single cask, it's a batch. Now, I'm not sure percentages and all the other fun stuff that goes along with that. I can't quote that to you. All I can tell you is it's a percentage of those batches kind of all thrown together there. It's got a good amber, +2, +3. She's not quite mahogany. She's not getting there yet, but she's somewhere in between amber and mahogany for dang sure, color-wise. Get the vanilla up front. You don't get, the grain is kind of dialed back in this. It's not a very big sensation you get up front on the corn part of the grain anyway. You do get a lot of rye spice on this. It has a higher rye than you think. And I think that's the typical mash bill for wild turkey. So you're kind of getting that same sort of profile you get through most all of it. But with wild turkey, it's a matter of where they season it, put it in their warehouses, and how they mix and blend their casks. That depends on how they tailor their profiles in a lot of ways. I don't think I've ever had a bad product from wild turkey myself. That's not to say some products ain't better than others. I've just never had what I would consider a bad product. Vanillas, vanilla. brown sugar. The rye spice is coming through with the minty component, and there's the wind picking up for us right now. We'll get a little gust here and there today. Beautiful day. Mid 50s, mid to high 50s. And the rye spice and the oak is really dominates in this rather well, I think. Personally, to me, it's a very appealing note. All right, I could keep nosing it forever. Let's get into the palate. Pepper. Pepper given away to the vanillas and the brown sugar, oak. That oak is sitting nice in the back of the throat. It's really, literally, the oak is sitting nice back in there. Very warming all the way down. Call it the Kentucky hug, I think is what I've heard them guys call it on bourbon night. Very warming. The 112 came across as a lot hotter to me, to my palate, than the 116 does. I believe this is actually, even though it's a little bit, let's let the wind die down. Wow, this gust is lasting suddenly. It's all up my back, so if anything, the vapors is just dwelling right here in the vortex created by the wind wrapping around your face. I just don't want it blowing the camera over because I didn't bring my weight out here to hold it down. Didn't think I'd need it. One thing to have a breeze, another thing to have a gust. I'm digressing, guys. Still got it dwelling around. It's got a good long finish on it. On my second one, we've had about a half a cap full of water. We've had plenty of time for my taste buds to acclimate. Brown sugar, little apricot note coming through. It's brown sugar, vanilla, and there's just a little bit of apricot. Still has the mintiness and the pepperiness. This one really, I like it better than I do the 112. This is better than the last generation, I think, personally. And I like the 112. Never did a review on it, but I was drinking it before I ever started doing reviews. This is not something I'll go through quick. That bottle will last me 6 months easy. I have so much to drink, I'm not going to force myself to drink everything all at once. But and I have a bottle of the 112, so maybe we can do maybe I'll do something in the future between them. That would be good. I still got half a bottle of 112. It's about a year and a half old, but I've not noticed any change in it from then till now, or well, last time I drank it about 2 months ago. Water dials the nose down quite a bit. It actually brings the fruitiness out on the nose a little bit that I only got in the palate before. It's just that apricot note, dried apricots, not fresh, dried apricots. I like dried apricots. Much more accessible now. Much less of the burn up front. The pepperiness really has a chance to develop in the palate. The vanilla's still there. The creaminess. The rye richness. The mintiness still there. But water makes this much more accessible to the palate. You could enjoy it either way, but your first few sips at barrel strength, because this is number 4 char, by the way, at barrel proof, gosh, I can't get it out. Your first several sips are, you take small sips and you'll acclimate to it. With water, you kind of bypass that step. It opens up much more accessible, much quicker. With an ice cube, for those of you who like ice cubes, that will be ideal with this one. Good stuff, really good stuff. Of course, I am like a Wild Turkey fan. Always have been. Well, let's give it a score. This is a solid one. If the oak was dialed down just a little bit, it would be much. The oak is probably the biggest detractor on this one for me. It is pretty oaky. That barrel char. If those two things were dialed down just a little bit, you'd get a much higher score. $40, what I paid for it, $39.99. You can usually get it between $40 and $50. Anyway, in Kansas, usually $40 to $45 in Kansas, anywhere you go. Find it on sale cheaper. What you're getting, if in value does have to factor into this a little bit. Even without the value factor, I'm gonna give it an 88 out of 100. You put the value in on this. If you think about the value though of what you're getting, the score should be higher. We're gonna stay with an 88 out of 100 because I think that's just right at that perfect spot for this one. Definitely drinkable, definitely worth getting. Definitely a great product. So if you haven't tried it, they do make 375s. Go out and get yourself a 375. Give it a spin with the 375. See what you think, if you can get that. Sometimes you can't. The old 112s I could get 375. I'm not sure if I ever seen the 375 in the 116, but go get that 375. Give it a spin with that first, and then if this is up your alley like me, spring for the 750. That's worth it. Wild Bay signing off here, guys. It's a beautiful, beautiful Kansas day. Remember, the spirit in your glass ain't running from you. Take your time, sip it, and enjoy it. You'll be better for it, as will we all. And there, everyone, have a good afternoon.